Charlotte is a great place to live. We have fabulous weather, we have a great economy, and we have mostly friendly people. But one thing we're not known for is automobile manufacturing. Except it turns out just about 100 years ago, Ford built a factory here to manufacture the Model T. And guess what? This is it, right here behind me. It still exists, and it's up here in an area called CAMP Northend. But the fact that it was a factory 100 years ago, the fact that it's been redeveloped is the least interesting part of its story. It's probably, well, when we made nuclear missiles. Welcome back to All Cars, y'all. I'm John. Today we are just outside of Uptown, Charlotte. But at one time this was, well, on the outskirts. Behind me is I-277. That's the inner loop going around our Uptown. In that direction, generally that way, there is what's called No Dots, north of Davidson. It's our artsy district over there, and it's super, super cool. And then back in this direction over here, somewhere over there, we've got an area with some clubs and some restaurants, and the Avid Express, I believe it is, music factory, where I've been more than a couple of times to see some concerts in my life. In the early 1920s, the Model T was on track to selling nearly 2 million units a year, and Ford was looking to build multiple new factories across the nation. Charlotte was chosen, and a 76-acre plot of land on what was the northern outskirts of the city was purchased. In 1924, a new 240,000 square foot factory was completed, powered by 3 coal power boilers. The stack of one you can see still rising above the site. It was designed by the legendary architect Albert Kahn, who also designed Ford's Highland Park and River Rouge plants. In 1927, Ford transitioned from the Model T to the Model A, and this factory built over 300,000 cars in its lifetime. But somewhere in the 30s, after the Great Depression, it was closed down. By 1941, the U.S. Army controlled the site, and they built 5 new warehouses to use it as a distribution center for cots and uniforms and typewriters all across the Southeast. It was used all the way through the war, and then afterwards it became one of the main reclamation and classification depots for the South as well. And more sadly, it became the final place that fallen soldiers would come home before they were distributed to their families in North and South Carolina. One reason this site was chosen was its proximity to railroads, and today you can still see remains of the rail track used to ship equipment. In 1954, Douglas Aircraft took over several of the buildings and started producing the Ajax and later Hercules surface-to-air missiles, the latter of which was nuclear capable, although they did tell us that they didn't install any nuclear warheads while it was here. As the Cold War was winding down, the site once again changed hands in 1967 to Consolidated Diesel Electric Corporation. The French were fighting in Vietnam and were letting us know that the trucks we were sending them were woefully inadequate for the terrain and the conditions of the country. So the Army solicited bids for a new, tougher, more off-road capable vehicle, and it became the Gama Goat. Now, while this looks like a small 2-seat Jeep-like vehicle with a trailer, it's actually a 6-wheel drive articulated semi-amphibious vehicle. It was very capable off-road, but it was tricky to drive and notoriously unreliable, and they stopped production in 1973. What's cool is that CAMP Northend actually obtained one and brought it down here, and it's closed in a glass box up near the food court area. In 1977, Eckerd Corporation, a drugstore chain, purchased the property and used 2 of the buildings, including the Ford plant behind me, totaling about 400,000 square feet, to distribute 8,000 items to 228 drugstores and 40 apparel stores. Rite Aid acquired Eckerd in 2007 and continued to use the property until 2015. After decades of use, the entire 76-acre site was purchased by Atco Properties in 2016 for redevelopment, rebranded as CAMP Northend, and they've updated the existing buildings for office, retail, food, art, professional services, events, as well as adding additional housing that's now available, while striving to keep the character and period-specific vibe, including weathering new concrete to look age-appropriate. I have lived in the Charlotte area for going on 50 years now, and I had no idea that this site actually existed. I had no idea that we once had a Ford factory here. It's cool to be part of this and see history being reused, and somewhat restored along the way. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes with me here today, y'all.